Good morning. Today is November 13th, 2018. This is Clear Passage Prayer Line. The title of the message today that we're going to be focused on, even in prayer, is called Now Faith, N-O-W, Faith, Now Faith. And the subtitle is Things Don't look like what they are transforming into. Things don't look like what they are transforming into. So the scriptures that we're going to be reading are explaining how we fit into the plans of God and how we are to work in cooperation with the Holy Spirit as He's doing a thing. Sometimes when God is having us pray and move and operate in a certain way, we will be functioning somewhere a way that's counterintuitive. Love your enemies, love those, pray for them that despitefully use you. Forgive 7 times 7. These are counterintuitive behaviors, not something that people would do in their natural mind using the logic of the flesh and the logic of the earth realm. You would not do these things. It's counterintuitive. So when he says things don't look like what they are transforming into, because God does not take the natural processes of men, and when I say men, men and women, and use them on his agenda and his timing. He will take you in a way where when Jesus washing the disciples' feet was counterintuitive, that wasn't logical. Being who he was, it wouldn't seem like, why would he be washing my feet? Why would he be doing this for me? Why would he actually go into Calvary? Was not a human. That was not a human-based decision. So when God is solving our problems, this is important. When God is transforming people around you, are solving problems, are pulling up strongholds, are making very significant change and transforming people around you that you have been praying for, then the thing he would ask you to do is counterintuitive to what you would do. You would think that if you want somebody to start, well, human nature would be if you want somebody to start doing something different, then you tell them, then you fuss at them about it, then you browbeat them about it, then you kind of nag them about it. You stay on them like a disciplinarian trying to get them to change. But the Spirit of God works in a different manner. He will actually have you, if you want someone to become kinder and generous and loving in the fruit of the Spirit and operating that, he'll actually have you start doing it first to them, to start demonstrating it to them, not demonstrating it up to the point that you say, okay, that's enough. I did it 4 times. I'm done. No, just continue to walk in it to become the thing that you want to have happen. The reason that's so important is because he works from the inside out. And so while you are breaking it, you are demonstrating it on the outside. He's breaking it down on the inside. He's working on the subconscious. He's working in their spirit. He's working in a way that you don't first see it. That's why he says things don't look like what they are transforming into. When you look at the caterpillar turning into a butterfly, that metamorphosis, there's no logic on the outside on how that thing became what it is. Even if you were talking about butterflies, it seems like they could be born a different way. They could come out a different way because you can't logically make the connection between a caterpillar, which is so ground driven, so close to the ground, such little baby steps, looks so clumsy, and if not clumsy, there's no logical connection. When you look at a caterpillar and you look at a butterfly, there's nothing in your brain that would say this is going to turn into that. You look at baby tigers, baby puppies, cats, kittens, bears. You can see the connection. You can see, I can see how if you put some over a period of time, this will turn into that. You can see a logical progression. But sometimes when God is transforming people, what they are and they look like now does not, in your wildest imagination, do you see them going into that next place. But we know because it happens millions of times during the spring, millions, probably billions of times in the spring. Some little caterpillar is turning into a butterfly, and the logic will escape you. And so, hold on, somebody put yourself on mute. And so, as you are as you are looking through and seeing God working in the lives of people around you, you become the strongest. Sometimes when you are praying for people and you want God to do a work in them, because of how God works, he usually will take one experience and make multiple lessons out of it. So many lessons. You think you're working on somebody else, and the person you're working on and praying over is actually because of you praying and working and standing in the gap and doing what you think you're doing something for them. They're actually changing you. They're actually transforming you, and you think you're transforming them. So, and when he says a two-edged sword, it is a two-edged sword in so many different ways. While you are pushing and praying and looking, that thing is also the patience, the long-suffering, the understanding, and understanding the personality of God. As you see him work on another person, that understanding, that greater dimension causes that the work that you are observing will also do a change and a work in you. So it's no place that the Spirit of God goes in the midst of working with men that there's not a greater understanding, a greater benefit. Just when he sets himself down in our midst to do a thing, everybody that's looking at it, everybody that's standing in the proximity of it, everybody that can hear, see, or experience it is benefited from it. Even when you tell the story, like right now, we are always listening hindsight to stories. Moses, Abraham, Noah, Jesus, John the Baptist. When we're looking at them, we're learning a story hindsight about something that happened thousands of years ago. And yet, Jesus wasn't that far; it was only 2,000 years ago. But that's not that long in the scope of things. We're listening and looking, and while we are looking at some historical event, it's currently doing a work right now. So when you read the Word of God, you're looking at words that have been on these pages been in print for thousands of years, but it's still doing a current work right now. And that's the same thing about the timeliness of when God is working on you and working on stuff on you and having you watch where you think you're helping somebody else. Like when you have a baby in the family, you think you are taking care, you're feeding the baby, changing diapers, talking to the baby, on schedule, time to go to sleep, time to wake up, time to da-da-da, all the things you're training and working with and loving that child. The child is also still transforming you into a parent. This child is still making you into a better person. While you are caring for the child is transforming you. The same thing with the challenges and the prayer directives and the things that the assignments God puts you on. The assignments God puts you on, while you think you're doing the assignment and you're working on it, it is working on you. It is changing you. It is transforming you. It is causing you to understand how you become, when you read these scriptures, how you become likened unto what is necessary for the Spirit of God to do a work on that situation. Whatever he's requiring, you're doing. Now, there's a couple of principles. One story I wanted to mention. If you are, this is synonymous what happens with the Holy Spirit. If you are a store owner and you everything on the shelves, it's a little shop. Just think of a little shop. People come in, and the neighbors, and you are a store owner, and so you're helping them out with the logic of your business sense. You're going along as a store owner. Now, when somebody comes in and says, I'm going to buy this store, but you can keep your job. You can stay working in the store because you like to work in the store. So I'm going to buy the store. Here's your money. You can keep working, but I will set the rules on how the store operates. Now, you are still in position, but how it operates and the trade-offs and the movement of capital and resources and the things that happen. The new owner says, I'm in charge of that. But you're still here, but I'm in charge of that. So what happens is, as you go under the new rules of this new store owner, while you are still working in the store, the new rules, he starts to give stuff away. He starts to give it away at different rates. Like one person, he might give something away to them that's small. And you go, I used to sell that. I sell that for, $10 a package, whatever it is. And he said, well, I'm the store owner now, so I'd say give it away. And then the next person coming there, he might give them 10 bags of groceries. And you're like, how are you going to make money on this store if you're giving away 10 bags of groceries? What are you doing? And the store owner tells you, the new store owner tells you, it's not yours to worry about no more. You're working in the store, but I own the store and I own you in the store. So just keep working. Just with delight, do what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you to keep track and you want to go write it down. Who got what? And they got 10 bags of groceries, and this one got the thing for half price, and I'm giving away this and I'm giving away that. And you write it. He says, don't keep track. I don't ask you to write it down. You are running the store. You like to run the store, so I have you running the store. But when I ask you to give this and give that and do this or do whatever, I am the store owner. The new owner saying, I am the store owner. So you have to do what I'm telling you to do, even though you're in the store and you operate in the store and you appear to be the boss in the store. I'm really running you, which is running the store. So when I tell you to do it, you just do what I ask you to do, because I'm actually it's a different owner. It's a new sheriff in town. I'm running it different. And the agenda is that this new store owner is answering to a higher, operating in a higher dimension. So while you're in the shop dispensing and doing, your logic is not applicable under this new ownership. So that's the same thing when we are operating and God's fixing things in our lives and answering prayers and calling us up to be stewards over greater blessings. We have to operate differently. We're operating under His watch, under His rules, because He's got an agenda that exceeds what we can understand. Always His agenda exceeds our understanding. So we have to know, okay, so more than likely, and this is consistent, more than likely, if the Lord is telling me to give something away or do something, He's not only working on the person that I'm giving or doing or whatever, giving or moving into. He's working on me, to helping me to understand that there's a flow and it's not logical. The flow of God and the mercies of God are not logical to the human eye, because the human eye, the human nature is always tit for tat. You get one for you, one for me, two for you, two for me. And so but that doesn't apply here. You might give it all. And then somewhere else, not from that area, from that relationship, but somewhere else down the road, around the corner, in another situation, you get it all. Somebody blesses you. Just like you blessed and planted over here, that's not where you planted. Might not be where you reap, because the math is not done in the earth realm. The math's done at a whole different dimension. So as you are planting and doing and giving in one specific space, you might go down the street, different time zone, different place, and there's your blessing. But that blessing was because of the planting, but they're not logically tied together. You can't see it. You can't see how you got from this over to that. So when you say now faith, you're operating in an agenda and on topics that you don't have to put the pieces together. There's a mindset that is what you want to make sure to do is to not put yourself in where you're going to be trying to keep track. Don't keep track. Don't keep track. Don't allow the enemy to get you in a tracking mode, because the tracking is the equivalent of judge not, lest ye be judged. Count not, at least your stuff will start getting counted. Do not do that. If God has told you to freely, if you freely receive, you freely give. And so it's because the math is not down here. The math is in His presence, and much is being done that you can't see. So it doesn't matter what He asks you to do. If He asks you to give it all, give it all. If He asks you to move it over here, do this, or whatever He's asking you to do, know that He's doing a greater work. You should write that word down. It's a greater work. He's always doing a greater work. You're doing something. You're doing some work, like the old store owner that kept his job. He was doing something, but the greater work was with the new owner. The new owner is doing a greater work that you can't even see. So here's a concept. When there's a situation where let's say you have God has given you $100,000, and you go, ooh, if I had $100,000, I would do this, and this. I would just do this, and I would give some of this way. I do that, and then you would start dispensing it according to your agenda, according to who you liked or didn't like, or how you did or didn't do, and under your own logic. You might start dispensing under your own logic, or sharing or giving or whatever you're going to do. But so that now some people are of the mindset that even though they got that $100,000, they are now still saying, yeah, but I don't have what I wanted, which is $250,000. I only have $100,000. So they're all empty people, empty mindsets, empty the black hole, the sinking, the never enough. They're never filled. Empty people are never filled because they're always going to say, if God gives you $100,000 and He gives the neighbor $200,000, you still going to be looking, not you, but an empty person is going to go, well, gosh, why did they get two and I only got one? You didn't have nothing before then. You didn't have nothing. So what are you talking about? They'll be like, oh, well, they got 200. Everybody else got 200. Why did I get one? Not thinking, oh, Lord, thank you for this one. I would have thanked Him for 10, but I got 100,000. Oh, thank you. So empty people are never filled, and filled people, grateful, happy, filled people are never empty. Empty people, the crab in the barrel, the why they got more than me, why they got 3 pieces of bacon, I only got 2, why they got 3 eggs, I only got, whatever it is, 2, they got some extra toast, they got butter on their, whatever. Looking at what somebody else has and then looking at yours and it's not enough. So empty is the mindset. Empty people are never filled. It's never enough. They're always going to want more. Whereas filled people, grateful people, overflowing people are never empty. They are always ever grateful, ever renewing. They have a flow in their spirit because they are ever receiving. And it's not and the way you get to that grateful side is when you realize that you're not keeping the math. The math is being kept in heaven. God is the giver and He is the doer. And you don't have to worry about any of it. You don't have to worry about not any part of it. He is in charge at all times and in all ways on what's happening with you. And so the reason this is so important is to stay in the continence of what God tells you, is that when He is doing a work, and He's working something out in individuals and in situations and in people, if you jump in there with your flesh-based logic, you could mess up the anointing and you could mess up the rhythm of the process. This is why you don't go ahead of God. You don't fix it up in your own mind. You don't give somebody a word and then follow it up with your opinion. You have to do what God says exactly like He says and stay out of it. It is not just like the shop owner. It's not your shop anymore. You are a servant in the shop. You are doing the work, but it's not yours. You're not the creator. You're not the origin. You're not the author of it, and you're not the finisher of it. You are just participating in a greater plan, and you're honored. You have the honor of being able to participate in a greater plan. So meaning that whatever He says to do, you do it. Whatever He tells you to do it. Just like Mary told the servants in the wedding, whatever He says to do it. There's no logic on water into wine. There's no connection. There's filling up the big vaults with water. There was no connection on that. The filler is God. God is going to do a work. You're the servant. You're just filling up the barrels of water. Now, what if being a servant, Jesus said, fill up these vaults with these big barrels with water. And then you sitting there listening, knowing the whole situation. You seen that you went out. I'm just giving you a visual. You saw that everybody's running out of wine because you were out there serving, so you know the wine went down. You saw Mary come back and say something to Jesus, and then Jesus tells you to fill up the things with water. And if you are of the mindset of asking and inquiring, that empty mindset, that inquisitive, can't wonder how's it going to happen. If you are in that mindset, and you're going to sit there and go, well, Jesus, this water is not wine. If we serve them the water, they're going to know it's not wine. I don't understand how the water is going to turn to wine. So until I understand how the water is going to turn into wine, I'm not going to waste my time and put water in the barrels because I don't understand how the water is going to turn into wine. Until you explain it to me, I'm not going to actually participate. You're going to be fired, first of all, but then after you get fired, you're going to miss the miracle because you're trying to understand what's happening. It doesn't have to make sense on any level. It doesn't have to make no kind of sense. What she said, whatever he tells you to do, do it. Don't ask no questions. Don't waste a second on the timing. Don't waste a second on the procedure. It don't matter what he says. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he told you to spin around 3 times, put on a yellow shirt, stand on this stand over here, go knock on, whatever he told you to do. Clear instruction deserves clear obedience, immediate obedience. You don't have to understand. This is how you get your miracles. I'm explaining because some of you are standing on the precipice, on the edge of a miracle, because you are getting some illogical instruction. You can't quite put it all together. Once you clear, God told you that thing. Once you're clear, he told you that thing. Whatever he tells you after that, just do it. You're unlocking things. You're unlocking things. The caterpillar could have said, I'm not going to spin myself into no cocoon. When even though I don't like being on the ground, I don't like walking around on these leaves just crunching. It's better than wrapping myself up in a cocoon because I don't know what's going to happen after that. He doesn't have the choice because he does it instinctively. But if he had a choice, he wouldn't really wrap himself in a cocoon because there's no exit in mind. There's no exit. Hold on. There's no exit strategy on that cocoon wrapping. So if if the caterpillar is going, okay, I'm going to spinning myself, I'm taking this silk and I'm spinning myself into this cocoon, and technically the caterpillar dies in the cocoon, and he comes back and he's metamorphosized into an entirely different creature, and not anything like the prior. The caterpillar does not look like that butterfly. Nothing on the caterpillar looks like the butterfly when it comes out. And the caterpillar puts himself into the cocoon and then sits there and starts to sleep and hibernate and turn into something else, goes into deep and comes out different. Same thing. When God is doing a miracle in your life, he will have you do something that appears to put you at a disadvantage temporarily, because you're going to come out the other side metamorphosized into something else. And the logic to the day you leave out of here, you might not ever understand how it happened, but know that God was working in. This is what is called a miracle. A miracle is something that happens beyond your understanding. And if you're privileged enough to participate in it, like when he said, fill up these containers with water, if you don't ask no questions, you just be obedient and go fill up them containers with water, you will witness the miracle of the water turning into wine. You will witness the miracle of your bank account turning from a zero balance into $100,000 in there. You will witness by doing what he told you to do. You walk into something that you had no idea or no control or no ability to metamorphosize that thing was going to change. Miracles are miracles because they escape logic. So if you want to operate in the miraculous, you have to start operating in a way that's not logical but faith-driven. You want that. He says when he told Moses to step his feet on the edge of the water and the Red Sea parted, there was no logic in that thing. It was quite illogical to step on the water or to hold up a staff or to or to get out the boat and walk on water. There's no logic in this stuff. To And you have to get over in this area to expect that extraordinary blessing, to be able to scoop up in the deeper things of God. You have to go past logic and go into the unknown. You have to ask him, and then you have to trust him. So to get out of a boat and walk on water, do you understand that there's no logic happening there, but there was a faith move, and then God started doing extraordinary. When you pray over people that are sick, that's not logical, that's faith. But the thing that makes it okay, the thing that you understand is because you have now snuggled up next to the one that has told you. You have a relationship and a trust in the one that told you to do it. Not because you think it makes sense, but, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to follow you in here, Lord. I don't know. I ain't never heard of it. I don't know. And I know I don't know. So I'm not going to, I don't know. But you said it. I believe it. I trust you. We're doing it. I have no, and it's okay to tell him that you don't know, because I say I don't know all the time. But then he will go in and start explaining that the why. He'll start showing you hidden truths about why he's taking you around the corner, taking you down the street, or going in an illogical direction. If you want to lead, he tells you to serve. That's not logical. You're not lording over people, but you're actually washing their feet. If you want to save people, why did he have to die? I mean, there's no logic. He'll send you counterintuitive to a direction that doesn't make sense to get out the thing that he needs you to birth forth. He will take you in the opposite direction to get you back over where he wants you. There's no straight line logic on this thing. It's a faith thing. So now, when that other last point, empty never is filled, and filled people are never empty. You want to be on the filled side. You want to be on the side where you are knowing what God is asking you to do. So now faith, the things that, whatever it is you're asking God to do, he's doing the work. He's doing, sometimes he will show you something, and then the next few days, that thing will start to where you have this assuredness that God is in control. Hold on to the faith that he showed you, what he told you, because when the thing starts to sometimes when you're praying in a relationship, those of you that have been married for years, you're praying for your husband or your wife to be saved, or you're praying for something to come together in that. And then the time you're praying for your children to be saved is a great example. The time you start praying for that thing to happen, they start cutting up and acting crazy. They literally start acting counter to what you just prayed. You're praying for something to be fixed, and then all hell breaks loose somewhere else. Remember the first conversation that God already told you to end from the beginning. So don't matter if he's already told you the end from the beginning, do not worry about that middle ground. Walk through it, do whatever he tells you to do. Put the water in the barrel. Don't worry about how it's going to get to turn into wine. Don't worry about that other part. Just do what he told you to do. Because it's not logical. This is metamorphosis happening here. This is transformation, things happening in the inside from the inside out. Nothing that appears will be what is actually happening, and you have to be that filler. What we're getting ready to read on these scriptures, in the process of a miracle, because we're getting ready to pray in a few minutes. In the process of a miracle, you have to be the filler. Do whatever he tells you to do. You may already be literally standing on your blessing. You may literally be right in the midst of it happening and not realize that that's what's actually going on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read these scriptures. I have Gloria, then Vivian, then Lodia, Patty, Jesse, and then Sharon. Now, when we're reading the scriptures, what you're hearing is the gap, the filler. The filler is, I'm trying to give you one more visual. If you're trying to insulate a home, there's sometimes they have things where they fill it up. They shoot it in, and it fills up the gaps. It stabilizes. It goes around wherever there's holes and fills it up. Wherever it needs to be shored up, it fills it up. Wherever it's needed, wherever it is needed, it fills the gap. It fills that space. Think of yourself while God is working through you, and think of the love of God. Think of love. Think of the fruit of the Spirit. You have to be all things, anything, whatever is required of you to shore it up, because the thing is moving. You have to be whatever God, in your miracle that you're witnessing in your own, God's trying to bless you. He needs you to become whatever you need to become to do the thing that needs to happen. Forgiveness. There's a reason he says forgive 7 times 70. It's so you don't get stuck in the flesh trying to keep track of something. So you wipe out your own logic and become anything and everything necessary for the glory of God to get that thing to happen. And Jesus proved that, because he became anything and everything necessary to get us into heaven, even up to and including the sacrifice of his own body. He was innocent, the sacrifice of his own body, so that we could get into heaven. There's no logic in that thing. It's all grace. It's all love. Likewise, you are operating in that same understanding. I'm not keeping track. I'm keeping up with God. That's all it is. I'm keeping up with the Lord. So I will put this water in these barrels. I don't know how it's going to turn into wine, but my job, put the water in the barrels. My job, pay for the dinner, buy them groceries, go get this, go give that, go plant this, go walk here, go make that call, go pray for this person, go do. Because I don't know how all that doing is going to transfer into the manifestation. I don't know how this caterpillar is going to become this butterfly. I don't know how the thing I'm working on now is transforming into that great, extraordinary thing I'm working on later. The man that was preaching in the sermon, I'm just giving an example, which is true. The man that was preaching the sermon where Billy Graham was in did not know who Billy Graham was. He just knew he was up there praying and preaching. Might have been 10 people in there. I don't know how many people were in the room. But as people have talked to small groups of people trying to figure out, why am I in this church talking to this little small group of people, and they gave me $10 for my time, and I had to, and the Lord turned around and told me to give it back to him. I'm giving, no logic, but it was a greater work being done that escapes the logic of you understanding what you were doing at the time. Release your logic. Let God do the extraordinary and operate in the, just remember, transformation, metamorphosis. What it is not what it's going to look like, but you just need to be obedient.